So guys, now we'll try to convert this notebook as our modular coding. That means here everything will be writing. And see, once you implemented the notebook, you don't need to write the code from scratch. Everything you can copy paste from your notebook only. Let me show you. So I think you remember the first thing we have to update the config.yaml, and this is already updated. I don't need to update. And apart from that, this 2 file is also updated because as of now I don't need it, but I have updated some dummy value. Now first thing what I have to update the entity. Now let me open the entity file. So inside src, you can see we are having this entity folder. Inside that we are having the config entity. Let me open it up. And inside config entity, whatever entity you have created, just try to copy paste. So this is my entity. So copy and paste. Then after that, I have to update my configuration manager in src config. So let me now open this config folder. Inside that configuration.py. Okay. Now whatever configuration you have created, let's try to copy paste. So this is the import. And this is my configuration manager. Okay, that's it. Now I also need to import data ingestion config from my entity. So let me import it. So from ml project dot entity dot config entity import. Okay, import data ingestion config. Now let me see whether any error or not. No, everything is fine. Now we have to update the component. Okay, so let's open the component folder. Inside that I'll create a file called data ingestion .py, and let's copy the component code. After configuration manager, this is my component. That's it. Again, I have to import the config data ingestion config from entity. So from ml project dot entity dot config entity import this data ingestion config. Now, is there any error? Okay, I also need to import the path library. Okay, so let me import. So from pathlib import path. We should be capital. Now I don't think there is any error. Yeah, everything is fine. Now the next thing, I have to update my I think remember I have to update my pipeline. So let's open the pipeline. So inside pipeline folder, I'm going to create a file called stage01, because this is going to be first stage data ingestion .py. Okay. Now here, I think remember, if I want to execute the pipeline, I need configuration manager and this component as well. Okay, so let me import all the necessary library inside here. So these are the necessary library I need: configuration manager as well as my component, data ingestion component, and I'm also importing the logger. Now I have to give this stage name first of all. So stage name should be data ingestion. Okay, then I'll create a class called data ingestion training pipeline, and constructor should be empty. And inside main function, what I've done, I've just copy pasted the entire pipeline. See, this is what actually I've just copy pasted inside that. That's it. Now if you execute the main file, that means your entire pipeline would be executed. Now this is going to be my first stage, okay, inside the pipeline. Now let me test whether everything is working fine or not. So let's call this main function inside my endpoint. So I'll consider main.py as my endpoint as of now. Later on, I'll switch to the app.py. Okay. So first of all, let me import this pipeline, data ingestion training pipeline from stage 01 data ingestion from the pipeline itself. Okay, you can see. Okay, I'm importing it, as well as I'm also importing the logger. Okay. Now the next thing, I will execute this line of code. Okay. That means I'm initializing my training pipeline, and from the object itself, I'm calling the main function. Okay, this main method, whatever main I have defined, this is what actually I'm calling. And I'm calling inside try except block. Okay, let's see if any exception is there. It will show me the exception as well. Now let me delete the artifact folder and let me show you the execution again, whether it's working or not. So I'll open up my terminal. Inside project folder, I will open up my terminal. I'll activate my environment. Now what I will do, I'll execute the main.py. So python main.py. Okay, so it's not getting executed. Just a minute. Okay, I have to save the file, Control S. Now let's execute. Now see, my pipeline is executing. Now if I show you in the artifact folder, see, it has ingested my data. Okay, so that's how, if you have implemented the notebook, very easily you can convert them to the modular coding. Okay, and this is what actually modular coding. We are managing the different files. Okay, now we'll be following the same approach to implement our remain actually, let's say stage, like let's say data validation, or let's say model trainer, or let's say data transformation. Whatever we are doing, we'll be following the same stage. Got it? So now I'll go a little bit fast because I think you got it, what we have to do exactly. Okay, the entire, let's say, project workflow, like how should we update the folders and file. Okay, now I think you got it. Now the next thing we'll be doing the data validation. Okay, data validation, first of all, we'll be doing the notebook experiment. Then similar wise, we'll also try to convert this notebook as well modular coding.